Technology. I should just plug into it like R2D2 with my leg.
I was getting aggravated, bro. Seriously. I'm ready to throw the MacBook through the window there for a minute.
That's why I don't do iProducts, man. Can't figure them out.
You don't have an iPhone?
My work phone, yeah, but other than that, I swapped to Android Master Race probably about 5 years ago.
Wait, what did you just say?
Android, the Master Race. It's like whenever you have the computer gamers, PC gamers, versus the consoles like the Xbox or PlayStation. It's called PC Master Race because they're better than the consoles.
I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea at all.
All right, so when you video game, you have personal computers, PCs.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you have the gaming consoles.
We did it on a PlayStation.
No. The games are better on computers because whenever you look at your resolution, your frames per second, and everything else, and your refresh rates, you control that and get better graphics cards and get better things on your computer. Well, the consoles, bam, it's just stuck. They all come out of the factory, the same video card, the same frame rate. And especially if you're trying to do certain games where you need twitch reflexes using little joysticks, that's never going to be as quick as moving your mouse. And so a lot of the games you can play either or, and it's just kind of a joke. PC
Is that the
Master Race.
technology reason? Like the technology in PlayStations aren't as good as computers technology?
Well, the technology's still there, but all the PlayStation and all the Xboxes, they're computers.
Right.
So you take a video card or a sound card.
Bluetooth thing?
Yeah, they're all Bluetooth thing. They all do the same thing. All an Xbox or PlayStation, they're just mini computers, but they're set. That's the graphic card. That's the memory. You can't upgrade. You can't get more out of it. You can't get better resolution because only whatever they put into there, whatever hardware they put in, whether it's the processor or the video card or the sound card, that's what it's limited to.
Right.
So if I have a game that's playing okay at what those settings are, well, my computer, I can upgrade the hell out of my computer with much better graphics card and processor, and it plays that game much smoother because I'm not limited by that left and right limit that the hardware's stuck at.
Well, so if you're not lost already, I am, but I'm going with okay, and no, it sounds like what's in there is in there, and then you're just kind of stuck.
Yeah, it's kind of like you get a car you buy from a dealership, or you build your own car.
I don't upgrade the computer typically.
No, you don't.
Most people, not our laptops and stuff.
I don't mess with that.
But so you, for anybody who's watching that was not part of the family of the Louisiana Army National Guard, you are a veteran who served how many years, and you're still serving on a different capacity. Kind of start your story from the beginning, if you don't mind.
All right. Well, my name is Jeffrey Adams, and I joined the Louisiana Army National Guard in 1998. And
a year after me.
Yeah, a year after you.
Youngin'.
I'm a little baby face getting my belly.
I love it.
So joined, went enlisted. I was enlisted for about 3.5 years. I had two friends of mine, Will St. Mike Clark, and they still serve, and they brought me into the military with them. They joined right out of, I think, senior year in high school. They joined. And
Colonel St. Is it
Colonel? Colonel, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So, and your brother's, he's up there too. He's full bird, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I never even talk about him on here, but we'll talk about him a little bit today. Yeah, we'll talk about him today.
So, I started when I went to college. I actually went to Southern for a year. I did Southern and LSU because they had the way they have it separated, it's kind of sister schools almost, is the Navy Marine ROTC is done over at Southern.
Oh, cool.
And then the Army Air Force is done at LSU. So it's almost an exchange student program to where I'd go to Southern for about 2 classes, multiple days a week, and then back and forth.
That's cool. And, you get a little bit of, you get a culture of all cultures.
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
You go for both worlds. And Southern is a great university.
Oh, it's amazing. And I still go for the Jags. I live, North Alabama right now.
And you still cheering them on.
Oh, hell yeah, because right next to me, I live half a mile from Alabama A&M.
Yeah. Oh,
which
wow.
is their black college
rival.
over there. Oh, yeah. So when they come, a friend of mine, he graduated from there. I was like, Corey, let me go. I'll be the only white boy in the crowd, but I'll also be the only Jag in the crowd too.
That's awesome.
And so it's just great.
You wear your blue and your gold.
Oh, hell
blue
yeah.
and yellow.
Hell yeah.
It's hilarious.
So, but no, went over there. Navy Marine didn't work out for me. And so Will and Mike brought me to the dark side, as I call it, with the Army National Guard.
Yeah. And you're wearing a Marine Corps marathon shirt.
Yeah, I did the marathon. Yeah.
Yeah, with one leg.
Hey,
Would you hop pretty fast, huh?
I never said I was a smart man. I'm just stubborn.
So y'all don't know, but and he'll talk about it. But he's a very, very special person and has done a lot of incredible stuff. Keep going. So you went over to the Army National Guard to the dark side.
Yeah, and
Enlisted?
I enlisted with Mike and Will, and then 3.5 years later, I drug Will through officer candidate school with me. We both became officers and
Nice.
did that for another 3.5 years before I tweaked my leg overseas, and then I retired out.
Tweet your leg. Yeah, that's a quick version. There's a thumbnail sketch. Now you're gonna ping me to ask you some good questions. So you went through officer candidate school. Does anyone know what that means? Because I do.
Okay.
But
So
for
officer
any
candidate
listeners-
school is basically you have 3 ways to become an officer.
right?
One is what some people are familiar with, like you'd see in the movies, World War II, whatnot, to where you're enlisted and they basically wave a magic wand to say, you are now an officer.
That doesn't happen that often.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. The other way is what people are also familiar with is going through RTC, which is going through college and go through RTC and you come out and graduate and you're an officer.
Yeah.
The other way is through the military directly. I mean, they're all through the military. They're all military related. But the other one is basically going through officer candidate school, which is in essence another basic training,
Yep.
but just for officers.
But way harder.
Yeah, in many ways it is. Many ways it isn't. It
School.
just depends. Yeah, you go through schooling, especially on National Guard. You can do a condensed course, which is a couple months, or you can do it every other weekend like your normal drills, and it's spread over a year and a half.
Yeah.
Now, one thing you got to keep in mind is it's supposed to be more of a gentleman course where they're not yelling at you as much, but at the same time, the TACs, kind of like drill sergeant, stands for Teach, Assess, Counsel. Those are enlisted people, and they
Yeah,
know
they're-
at the end of this they're going to have to salute you.
Right. Yeah.
So they don't want
I
any
got
garbage
a good
going
story
through.
about Greg on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm in Hammond, and I'm playing Hammond, Louisiana, and I'm playing a gig every week. And this guy's sitting at the bar every week. Brett Bonin is his name, and he's just, I guess he's like a graduate student at Southeastern. And he says, Saint Romain, are you related to Greg Saint Romain? And I'm like, yeah, I'm related to him. He's like, oh, okay, cool. The next week I get a call from Greg.
Uh-oh.
And he's like, bruh, I'm going to kill you. He goes, dude, he smoked me like you have no idea.
Yeah, for those people that don't know, smoking is basically you see football, whatnot, people are so hot, you see the steam coming off their head. Well, smoking in the military means they make you do push-ups, wind sprints, run whatever they can to tire the hell out of you.
Yeah, bro.
So you're smoking, and so I got smoked. I
Yeah,
got lit up.
he said he wore him out, had him rolling and everything. It was, I'm like, man, I'm so sorry. I didn't even know. I was just being his buddy. Like,
I was out
he's
there
like, you
being
better
nice.
sing him whatever the hell he wants you to sing him, because if you don't, I'm going to kill you. And
Happy
sure enough,
birthday, Mr. President.
yeah, exactly. Sure enough, he came every week, and
Oh,
so
wow.
I had to like become his friend and be like, don't hurt my brother.
That's like politicking right
Oh,
there.
dude, I was
you
totally
you
politicking.
dance monkey, okay.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a funny story. But no, I mean, TAC officers or your TACs or your drill sergeants in OCS. And so so what happens after, like, you graduate OCS?
And then you go back and you're a platoon leader. Now the
Do you
Louisiana
go back
National
to
Guard,
the same units?
that's where it's a little different in the Guard. So we're part of me, your brother, and
Yeah.
then my two friends, Will and Mike. We're part of the Combat Engineer Unit, 1088th. That was spread out between, you had Plaquemine, Opelousas, New Roads. And so I started out enlisted with Will and Mike over in Plaquemine.
Okay.
Now, when you become an officer, you don't want to go back to that same exact unit where you were there with your buddies, right? Because it's going to be tough for them to try to listen to you, be in charge, and tell them what to do.
Right.
It's like whenever you get promoted at work. A lot of times you want to kind of move out of that team,
Yeah.
so they see you in a different light. So we stayed in the 1088th, but we moved to different companies.
Nice.
So you still all knew some of the same people, but it was a different dynamic. And
So
it's
y'all ended up in New Roads.
I ended up in New Roads.
Yeah.
And you know,
It's about 2000, and just for everybody's relation, 2003, 2004?
that was 2001.
Oh, 2001. So it was
Yeah.
that early.
So
Y'all didn't
we
leave
graduated
until...
Yeah, we didn't leave until 2003 and then 2004 because we did
Yeah.
our pre-deployment. But no, we graduated OCS right before 9/11.
So it's funny you mentioned 9/11 this morning on the way in. I got to hear "Have You Forgotten" from Daryl
Oh,
Worley, and Big D and Bubba played it, and it was it's really, really impactful because I was sitting there with my daughters and my son in the truck, and both of them, and I'm like, have y'all ever heard this song? Do you know what it's about? It's
I have no
kinda
frame of reference yet.
well, and right before that, Bubba had made a comment about something, and I looked at my daughter and I was like, "Power grid," and it was a moment of like, yeah, we got to worry about who's in charge of what, and are we worried about things right now? It's a weird time right now, and so having that conversation, he immediately played "Have You Forgotten" right after he made a comment, very much silver lining kind of comment, like under the radar, and I thought it was really interesting. I was very proud of him, actually, because Bubba is an incredible supporter of veterans, and I think that, and both of them are, and it was awesome to be able to share that story about that song, how it happened right after 9/11, and so 2001, y'all became officers, and y'all moved to New Roads.
Yeah, I went to New Roads. Will went to, I want to say he went to Charlie Company.
So y'all all split up as
we all split up.
butter bars.
And butter bars.
Nice, which is a second
lieutenant. And then, first lieutenant is basically a butter bar, but cholesterol free. So the color is black instead of brass or silver. So it's cholesterol free butter bar.
Y'all, that's awesome. You're getting all the insights, folks.
That's it.
That's
no,
hilarious.
but going 9/11 when it happened.
Yeah.
So before I get into that, where I was, like a month later, I got in a car wreck. Now, no major damage. I was already pretty dumb to begin with. But I ended up forgetting everything that happened a month and a half before. So I learned about 9/11 again. But I remembered I graduated OCS. So I'm like, damn, I'm a new officer. And now we're going somewhere. I don't know when, but we all knew, hey, something was going to happen out of it. So I had to kind of go through that again. And I still don't remember 3 days before, 3 days after the accident. It was a concussion.
Yeah.
No major brain injury because there's not much there to work anyway. But when 9/11 happened, I was on my way to LSU, and I was on my motorcycle, and I'd always ride with headphones in one ear. Keep one out that way.
I saw you were doing that a minute ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm used to do. Hear one ear out the other. And when I turned on the radio on my little Walkman or whatever, it was dating myself. It was in the middle of it. Hey, one just hit, talk about the Trade Center, got hit by an airplane. And I was thinking it was back when I was in third grade, one of our teachers played the old recordings of the War of the Worlds. Okay. And I don't know if you've ever heard that, what it was, before TVs and whatnot, radios were how they got most of their stories, their news, blah, blah, blah. Mm-mm. Well, there was a fictitious work done. It was a series of episodes. I don't know if it was 8 or 10 different installments where they were talking about aliens coming down. And every 5 seconds or every 15 seconds, they would say, this is a work of fiction. This is not real. But they have like fake news recordings coming in, all kinds of stuff. And some people thought it was so real, they commit suicide and worried about aliens taking over. So, but it was pretty cool. We got to hear it in third grade, which looking back, I'm thinking, I guess it was PG-13 or 11. I don't know, but it was cool. So going to LSU that day, I was hearing that.
They didn't care back then, bro.
No, they didn't care. They toughen up, kid. Rub some dirt on.
Have you ever watched any of the movies we watched as kids?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what in the hell? I would never let my kids watch these.
Well, we have some movies come on. My wife's like, is this appropriate? They got to learn sometime, baby. And then she wins and I turn it off because I'm smarter than that. But I was thinking going to campus that day, 9/11, and they said, a second one just hit the tower.
Yeah. My
thought was, man, they're doing a reboot of War of the Worlds. It's pretty awesome. But I'm like, where is that? This is a work of fiction. Do not take this as real life. That never happened. And so that's how I slowly got clued in.
Wow.
But long story short, went through OCS, graduated in August, I think July, August, and then all she wrote, we became an officer.
Yeah. So in 2005, 4, y'all deployed? 2003?
2004, 2000, I can't remember the dates. I know it was either into 2003, 2004, because we deployed and did like a 6-month pre-deployment training where we went to National Training Center and went to Fort Hood, did the training there over. And you served as a platoon leader at that time for your brother.
Under my brother's command as a company commander, my oldest brother, who is currently the brigade commander.
Oh, that's a sexy man. That's a sexy man.
225 Brigade, I believe. Is that correct? 225 Brigade? There's 2 of them here in this, or 256 and 225. I believe he's a 225.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Anyways, it doesn't matter to me. He's a brigade commander.
Yeah. And whenever I went to that new unit as an officer, he was the executive officer of that company. And then about 6-8 months later, he became the company. I think about a year later, he became the company commander. So
Yeah.
he was there mentoring me, helping me out, telling me what to do, not to do, slapping me in the face when it needed to happen. Sometimes figuratively, sometimes literally.
I'm sure he's had his hand and face slapped a lot.
Oh yeah,
by
but it
everybody.
was a great relationship we had because we had that dynamic of respect and trust, and we're friends. Go hang out, go have drinks
Yeah.
together. But when it came down to it, hey, he'd tell you to do something. It's like, I understand, because you understand that business versus
Right.
off the clock side.
So thinking about the deployment, like y'all are in Fort Hood, or y'all about to fly out of Fort Hood to go to Germany? Is that where y'all flew into first, or did y'all fly to Kuwait first?
We went to Kuwait first.
So you when you're like, you rucked up, you got your rucksack, you got your duffel bag.
Yeah, your A/B bags, all
Right.
that stuff.
And I mean, how y'all feeling? Were y'all happy? Were y'all nervous? Were y'all not happy, but were y'all like just kind of chilled, just try to pass the time with conversation?
No, it's we just sit here and BS like we do now. To be honest, you're not going over there. The weight of the world isn't on you. You're like, oh my God, this is gonna happen. What happens to this? What happens? It's like, hey, it's a job. We do what we gotta do.
Right.
It's kind of like when you got to go on a big trip with your band, or you're going, hey, got to drive out of state. It's kind of like, well, I'll make sure I have everything. All right, I'm ready as I can be. Let's go. Hopefully we didn't forget anything. Hopefully we know what I need to know.
Right. A lot of hurry up and wait.
Yeah. So it's similar to different, I guess, mass of how much you got to deal with. Mm-hmm. But you look at it as a job. You look at, hey, this task I got to do now. This is what I got to do next. Next we're going here.
You're the frontline guy. I mean, like, as a platoon leader, bro, you were the frontline officer. Like, you're the first person who sees the front line with your platoon.
Yeah, and we're combat engineers, which is, it's not engineers you think of, hey, you have two types of engineers, right? The train, choo-choo. Yeah, we weren't those engineers. And also you think of the egghead engineers, which are a bunch of nerds I don't like. I happen to be one, by the way, mechanically.
You are a freaking egghead. Are you kidding me?
But I hate engineers. They walk in thinking they're the smartest guys.
Never mind.
I only built one car.
Yeah, but it didn't fall apart.
Well, it still runs. It's not even mine. It's my wife's. But
everything is your wife's. That's the way
I just tell people I got blown up. She took that leg. No, but so.
No, she took something else and put them in her purse.
Yeah, that's pretty much. She was,
you
strike one.
You didn't lose those in the.
No, I get to see him once a year on my birthday.
I love it. This might have an explicit category on our podcast. A little bit more.
Keep it all innuendo.
Edgy.
Yeah, that's it.
It's edge. It's on the
edgy.
Edge.
I should come out, more black and eyewear.
Oh man, goth.
But so no, going back to your point is, whenever you're getting ready, whenever you're at line or one duty station going to the next, you're just thinking, hey, we know what we could get into. You know what could happen. It's like when you sign up to the Army. People say, well, I didn't sign up to the Army to fight. So what do you think the Army does?
What do you do it for?
Yeah. Well, I just came here for money. Well, you should have thought about that. Second, third order of effects of a decision you make, kind of like dominoes. Hey, this could happen.
Right.
But, you get there, and I remember we're in Kuwait. We were there for a couple weeks before we actually convoyed to Baghdad. And we're in Baghdad maybe, seems like only, it's been many moon now. But it seems like we're only there about 3 or 4 hours, and then they grab me and one or two other platoon leaders. Hey, this other unit's going to do a breach and this and that, cordon and search, which is basically SWAT tactics. Mm-hmm. Y'all do a ride along. Y'all go with them and see what's going on. Mm. And it's like, hey, we're not in Kansas anymore. We're out there locked and loaded, ready to go. And
so
looking
you have live
back,
ammo on you.
Oh yeah. I had 300 rounds for my M16. I had maybe like 90 rounds for my M9,
Was
my
this
pistol.
The first time?
Oh yeah, first time outside the wire in a potential engagement area. I mean, that's not true. Going up in the convoy, from Kuwait to Baghdad, we're all locked and loaded then. As soon as you get in country, you're locked and loaded. Mm-hmm. But this was the first time it was really, to me, where it really felt like it hit home. Mm-hmm. Now, we didn't have any major thing. We're just there paying attention, watching, learning, and we were kind of ancillary. We were there if something did happen, but it wasn't our mission. But I remember sitting there, and we had our Wiley X's ballistic goggles, right? You're always worried about your PPE, personal protective equipment. Make sure you have your Kevlar, make sure you have your earplugs, make sure you have your eyewear, your body armor, all that stuff. And so that's just
still carrying the little case for the earplugs at the time.
Oh yeah. It was nice little cute ones. But the biggest thing is I'm sitting there, and my glasses are fogging up because it's like 4:00 in the morning. You can't, the humidity, whatnot, and so I was like, I can't see. Well, I can't take them off because I have to keep my eyewear on to be safe. It's like, but I can't see. It's okay. You're fine. And looking back, it's so stupid. Take your damn glass off because if you can't see, you're useless.
Right.
But I'm so worried about what they beat into you. Keep them on. You got to stay safe.
hey man, that garrison training, it's like it's important.
It is. But you're talking about the ears out, keeping one ear out like this so you can hear what's going on around. I would always keep both earplugs in. Now, as a not just an officer, but any leader, whether it's even a team leader, it could be a PFC or a specialist or a corporal. Any way up the chain, you have to do talking on the radio. Mm-hmm. So a lot of thought is, hey, if I have earplugs in, I can't listen to the radio, I can't hear what they're saying, or I might miss the radio call over the speaker. So a lot of people, including my friend Will, would take one earplug out, and they just leave one out all the time. That way they can hear and listen.
That ruin your hearing.
And that's what happens. You get hit by an IED or you get into engagement. Guess what? Bam, there goes your hearing loss. 20, 40, even, all the way up to 90 or 100%. Mm-hmm. Luckily, now me, I was part of an explosion. For y'all that don't know, I didn't lose enough weight in the heat. So they blew up an IED about 10 feet from me as I was walking by. I had somebody, I think, best they remember, could figure out somebody had a Motorola cell phone and they command detonated, which means they were watching me walk along and they press a button and boom. I was part of an explosion. I have no hearing loss because I kept both earplugs in. Mm. Now, if I would have had just one out, then, major hearing loss. But my thought was they're just going to have to speak louder on the radio, or I'm going to have to say, hey, say again, let me know what you're saying. So there are multiple trains of thought on keep one in, one out. That way you have situational awareness or know what's going on around you.
Yeah.
So,
how long was y'all's original deployment? Supposed to be. How long was it?
At that time, I believe it was one of those. It was still
9 months.
No, it's either going to be a year to year and a half, from what I recall.
Wow.
Obviously, I didn't make it that long. So,
yeah. So y'all, let's talk about the beginning, and then we'll get back to the real. I like to call the summit of the moment, of the life-changing moment,
the climax.
The climax.
Now
the
coup de grace.
Picturing you naked, like you mentioned earlier, and it's just not a good thought.
It's like my wife, she'll scratch my back, and I'll take that stump and flick it like a dog's leg. She's like, "Oh no, you didn't."
It's like a tail.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. We so you go out for the first time. Like, do you feel any? You think you feel any nerves? I mean, was there ever a time that you went out and you were like, I'm like having some anxiety, or did you feel like your training kind of kicked in and you went into?
A little bit of both. I mean, you're always going to be anxious. If you're not, you're just
not
a sociopath. You just have no emotion. It's all cut off.
I wonder, as leaders, do y'all ever look for those guys? Like, if you have guys that you notice are just so high speed about taking people out, and
well, that's where a big concern is, hey, how somebody's going to react in a firefight. Are they going to freeze up? Are they going to lock up?
Fight, flight, and freeze.
Right. Exactly. Or are they going to be the kind that are leaning into it and try to be a Rambo? Those are both just as detrimental, very dangerous, because you need somebody that can react to a scenario. So you need the ones that might freeze. You need them to come up and do their job. The other ones, they might escalate a situation greater than it needs to be when it's really not something, but they're looking for it. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, hey, if it's human nature, right? You never notice, say, a Honda Accord. But if you buy a Honda Accord, now you see them everywhere because it's what you're looking for. It's what you notice. It's what you're familiar with. So if you're looking for an engagement or trying to start something or want to take a kill or think you're Rambo, well, then you're predispositioned to lean that way, and that's just human nature.
Yeah.
So that's part of leadership. That's part of training. That's part of understanding your men and women that you're in charge of, is what their strengths and weaknesses are and how to curb those one way or the other for the betterment of everybody. Because a weak link.
Your team.
Yeah. The weakest link could be that either side of the spectrum. It doesn't mean he's stronger or weaker. Just you have to figure out how to use that together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty powerful. I think about kids too. It makes me think, kids are influenced so much by music and by media, and then, they go into it, I could be this and that and the other, and like especially kids living, in rough neighborhoods, those kids think they have to be that certain way, and so they get to, they escalate the circumstances a lot just by what they think is supposed to be that way. And so by the time they get to become, like, even if they become a soldier or become a Marine or become a, whatever, it's a lot of those kids that get in trouble sometimes now, they'll bring them into the military, and use some of that energy in a good way, but they never had the example of hearing what you just said, which was, hey, you need to balance it. You need to find that middle ground.
Well, and a way to that is people say, oh, you went in the military and they brainwashed you.
Mm.
I didn't learn anything more in the military than I already knew because I was raised right.
Right.
I was held accountable growing up. But you got to think some of those people that didn't have the similar structure growing up one way or the other, and lack of or having excess growing up, being spoiled.
Right.
You go into the military and they teach you, hey, before you go, make a checklist.
Yeah.
That way you know everything. And so a lot of times it's just giving these people a new way of thinking and a new perspective, and they come out better for it because they understand, hey, accountability, I have to do this. If I didn't do it in basic training, I got yelled at and hey, I got smoked.
Right.
But so people, oh, you were brainwashed. Well, some people come out and it seems like they're brainwashed because they had their eyes open in a new way of doing it. So it's really just different perspectives. But as you know, basic training, they're just underpaid actors is all the drill sergeants are. Going in the military gives you a new perspective.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what kind of upbringing you had from a lower level to the one in excess.
Well, and I mean, a lot of the kids that we're working with don't have that. So they're coming in with with one thought on perspective on who we are, and then by the time we leave, we hope to give them a different perspective on themselves and what their opportunities are.
And help them out. But I've never been one to fall into, oh, these kids, these generation, or, oh, they weren't raised right. It's human nature. Mm-hmm. Everything's somewhat cyclical. It comes back around every 2 or 3 generations. Like, hey, we're now kind of in our era of Woodstock. Every generation and a half or 2 generations, those kids are raised a certain way and given some privileges to where now they think, hey, the world is terrible. Well, no. I mean, if you look back, I don't remember if it was Socrates or Plato's, hundreds of years ago, basically said, hey, kids come into the room these days. They have no respect for their elders. They put their feet up. They don't stand up. We come into the room. And then they don't give us and talk to us with respect. It's basically the kids these days, I swear. But it was like Socrates or Plato. Yeah. It's just human nature. It happens for every culture, every region. And so people say, oh, well, kids, these days they're just growing up soft because of all these, computers, all the technology. And so it's like,
well, they say, the saying, hard men make soft times. Soft times make hard men.
Mm-hmm. And it just goes back.
Hard men make soft. Hard times make hard men. Hard men make soft times. Soft times make
soft men.
Soft men
who make hard times.
Yeah. So it's thank you, because I needed your smart engineer brain to get me back to the.
I'm on a first grade read level, buddy. Don't you bring?
No, that's just because you're on one leg.
That's it. Huh?
No, I have to pick on you because that's what it is. It's all in good love. So I can't even call you by the nickname I like to call you, because it would feel they may excommunicate me from the podcasting ability.
We were getting our wedding pictures done prior to the wedding, right? We weren't worried about bad luck; it had already been blown up, right? So we're out there, and I'm in my dress blues, and I'm with my wife, fiance at the time, and blah blah blah. And we're out there, and I think the photographer was a friend of ours, and I think there was somebody else.
Yeah.
And so we're moving out of the plantation from one location to another, and they said, "Come on, Lieutenant Dan." And they had a older couple walk by, probably in their 60s, and this dude got mad. He turned. I was like, whoa, no, we're all good, because he was going to stand up for my honor. He was there to help me out. I was like, no. You don't know. We're just joking about this. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
But
if I can't look at it with this by now, you have to.
Yeah. Was it that one concert? Was it the Catery? Was it I held the leg up in the middle of the song? Trying to jack you up.
The Catery.
Yeah.
Man, you're dating us.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
The kids don't even know what that is.
No, it's okay.
For sure. Well, so I was thinking about something and I lost it. Can you believe that?
Oh, my bad.
No, that's my ADD, HDD, HDHD, whatever you want to call
LMNOP.
It's, I think about, so let's go back to the Iraq. Let's put ourselves back in that place. I remember being, at that time, I was, this was the second time Greg had gone deployed as to war. He had gone to Persian Gulf War in the Navy, and I was a young lad. I was a young man back in, I think I was in middle school or something. Yeah, middle school, because I sang God Bless the USA 7th grade. I put on his Navy outfit. It was so big for me. It was hilarious. My mom had to pin it up and everything.
I got to see pictures of that.
Oh, It's somewhere in the archives.
Like that little kid in the Cracker Jack box kind of picture.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was about 100, maybe about 75 pounds soaking wet. But yeah, that was 7th grade for me. And then so by this time, y'all are deploying. I am personally going. I was playing music already, so I went and just so y'all know the history on the listener side. I went and sang for y'all the morning y'all.
Yeah, it was it was our send off or whatnot you want to call it, New Roads, and
right.
I've told you before. I always remember you singing the Travis Tritt song. It's a great day to be alive.
Yeah,
and it was a great day because the weather was amazing. It was like 65 out, sunny. Had all the family friends there. It was kind of a big party, almost like a big block party.
And we were late getting there. I remember that. I mean, that's normal for me, but at least in that moment. I mean, when I'm supposed to be on time. For radio, I try to be there. For TV, I try to be there on time. But, you guys, whatever.
No, we had a good time.
It was incredible. Awesome. And I cried, because I always do. But it was, it's like in that moment, I just wanted to give back as much as I could. I was still in the Guard, I believe, at that time, or actually, I was still in, but I wasn't let me think. Yeah, my contract ended in 2005, so I was still in, but I was on IRR status, so I was just traveling full time. I wasn't really having to go to drill anymore, and I think a lot of guilt for me was seeing all of y'all have to deploy and never having to deploy. Never having to do anything difficult for the military.
And that's common. And I understand that. And that's whether you have somebody that never joined the military say, I wish I would have, or people that did join and they didn't deploy, or any type of anywhere on that spectrum.
Yeah.
But you're not thinking about how you served that day, right? And what you brought to everybody that was there. And it's not that you didn't want to go. I mean,
and
people say,
that was my point in trying to give back in that moment.
But it shouldn't be out of place of guilt. It should just be another avenue of service.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's exactly, and that's why I started this work. That's why I started the work here. But going back, you guys, you got there. Y'all went out on that first run to try to get to observe those that previous. Unit, and as they went out and did the interrogations or whatever they were doing, or SWAT work.
Interrogation. We weren't waterboarding people. Damn.
I weren't interrogating people. Oh, I thought there was some interrogating going on, but
take your glove. Come here, sir. No,
not like that.
No, they're doing a mission. I don't remember the objective of it, but
what did 1088th end up doing from y'all? You were talking about combat engineers. I mean, if I understand it correctly, combat engineers are the ones that blow things up.
Mm-hmm. We're not EOD. Those are like bomb squad guys.
Gotcha. What
we do is combat engineers are more on the offensive side. In some movies you see where they're blowing wires apart so they can cross through with long, skinny things. Those are called Bangalore torpedoes. They're full of ordnance and they blow. We also lay minefields. We also breach minefields. And I could be wrong, and if I am, I'm sure I'll hear about it. But back in the current conflict back in the, I think, 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
Combat engineer, we're the ones in the front breaching the obstacles. And the whole reason you make an obstacle is to slow people down, to shoot them, right? That's the nature of it. I'm going to slow them down so they can't get in.
Yeah, and where they are. They're like sitting ducks.
Exactly. Where our job was to go there and breach and make a hole through those obstacles. So I remember hearing, again, don't know if it's true or not, I don't have the stats on me, but it was basically, as combat engineer platoon leader, once the first shot is fired, your life expectancy is 11 to 15 seconds.
Oh my goodness!
But that was in like this pre-urban environment, operational on urban terrain. This was back in like the Russian mindset. It's similar to if you look all the way back colonial times. People are standing up in line shooting each other.
Yeah.
Not being smart about it, just being cannon fodder and bullet sponges. So that's kind of what that mentality and that train of thought was. Now, how true was it? I don't know, but that's what we told ourselves to pump ourselves up and say, "Oh, we're in a real dangerous job."
Yeah.
But even though the current conflicts, people are like, "Hey, where you were, was it dangerous?" Well, you hear somebody say, "Well, I was in the worst part." They're trying to buff up their ego.
Yeah,
Wherever they are,
the worst part.
The worst part changes on an hourly basis, a daily basis. You could be a cook, and you were in the most dangerous part. So it's the whole different type of warfare these days. There's no, nobody really in the back once you get to that forward operating base. It just depends on the situation, the scenario. Mm-hmm. And if you are one of the backline guys, guess what? You can be touched by a mortar.
Oh, you may step in the wrong spot, or you may get hit From
So there are so many different ways. So it's, what we did is usually combat engineers. We get our unit, our company of 100 to 200 people, 130 to 160, depending on your strength. And you'll get annexed out. You're like my company, my platoon would go support another company.
Mm-hmm.
And then another platoon would go support another.
Yeah.
Well, as I remember it, and Greg will probably call and chew me out because I'm wrong, but I remember them saying,
You don't watch these things.
I remember them saying, y'all did so good in y'all's training at Fort Hood. We're going to keep y'all together as a company. We're not separating y'all out. We're like, oh, sounds weird, but okay. Said, y'all are going to guard the core MSRs. Now, what that is you have, the military, you have a team, a squad, a platoon, a company, a battalion, and go all the way up. Or
Brigade, group.
Core is one of the biggest, right?
High brass, senior brass.
And what it is core is basically looking at the regions, MSRs, which are the main supply routes. Well, that's exactly what it sounds like. That's the main supply route for us to get supplies up to our troops. And if something happens to those, they get blown up or their bridges are gone, then we have issues. So they basically said, y'all get to guard the 3 core MSRs in Baghdad.
Yay!
Yay! We should have jacked off in our training a lot more because that didn't work out for us. But
no.
So it was a lot of responsibility.
Like, y'all are so good, we're going to make sure we bring you to the...
Yeah, you get to play with the A-team. So, but...
Dun, 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 dun.
Love when a plan comes together. It just didn't for me. But, so we it was just more unique on how it worked out for us than other, I guess, stereotypical or traditional combat
So
engineers.
was that what y'all were doing when the accident happened?
It wasn't an accident. It was planned. It wasn't like, whoopsie.
No, but yes, I apologize. I didn't mean to call it that.
No,
but I think it's when that moment happened. I mean,
yeah. No, what it was is they had
kind of lead us up if you don't mind somehow. What
So-
were y'all doing that morning leading out?
okay, so we got there, and like I just talked about, that was our responsibility of guarding those main supply routes. Well, in that, they said, hey, Lieutenant Adams, you're responsible for basically these 2 square miles in southern Baghdad. So, okay, what do you want me to do? I don't care. That's yours. You're the mayor, the governor, the guide, whatever you want to call it. You handle everything with that. And that's talking to the people on the ground, helping the kids out, putting a water filtration system in for the locals, to finding out, any insurgent activity in the area, getting to know the local heads of the villages, or I don't want to say villages because it's southern Baghdad. It's kind of like a Baton Rouge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you're out with straw houses, but the construction a little different. But point being is that was our area of operation.
Yeah.
And that morning we're out, and a group south of us got hit. I believe, if I recall, it was a scout unit got hit by a vehicle-borne IED. And my platoon, our sector was basically in the southern entrance to Baghdad International Airport, BIOP, or Camp Victory, or I think they changed it because Victory was offensive because people are stupid. And so we were holding that gate open to make sure that any casualties from that incident could get through without having to stop at a gate.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we went back out, that's when we saw something, didn't know what it was, reacted to it like it was an IED, an improvised explosive device, and then I ended up getting hit and,
Yeah.
no more leg. Lose 10
Yeah.
pounds in one blast. It's one hell of a weight loss, man. Just can't run like I used to.
Well, and a lot more.
Yeah. But hey, I was blessed
You were
that
by
day. No other
yourself.
injuries.
You had a driver.
No, we're all together, but there's another lieutenant with us from the 10th Mountain. I said, hey, let's get out and check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I say that we weren't walking up to a bomb. We didn't know what it was, if it was a bomb or it wasn't. So we were still about 300 meters away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And looking through binoculars for antennas, wires, anything indicative of an IED. Didn't see anything. I was like, screw this. Let's call EOD. Let them take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Started to turn. I blinked, and I'm on the ground with no leg.
Mm-hmm.
They used that as a decoy and blew it up right next to us.
Yeah.
They're not stupid people.
No.
Basically it's the same warfare we did in the Revolutionary War, right? Hit and run, guerrilla tactics. It's, we didn't do anything wrong. They just got us.
Yeah.
But luckily,
wrong place, wrong time.
yeah, it's just the way it works out. And luckily, the other lieutenant behind me, I think he was about 15 feet behind me, and he got hit too. But the extent of his injury was shrapnel, I believe, on his left side, more on the lower left. And he ended up coming to Walter Reed for maybe a month and a half, and then he left and went to New York to be close to his family. But the major extent, if I recall, was he was maybe going to have a knee replacement on his left knee, and that's it.
Okay.
So we're blessed that nobody died. I'd say no significant injury, but as far as I'm concerned, no significant injury to anybody else. Me, you suck it up and deal with it. But
so
it worked out okay.
So you left. Let's. I mean, do you mind if I ask?
No.
Like more in detail. I don't want to get too dark or anything, but with I don't want to upset you at all. But,
no, that's open book. It doesn't bother me.
All right. So
it's like in a car wreck. Hey, it happens.
So what's the first thing you remember? You open your eyes. Like you blink, you open your eyes, you're on the ground.
Okay. Now people are gonna think it's a joke. I've told it many times because it's true, but I'm turning because we go back to the vehicle. I blink and I look down. There's nothing. Legs just completely gone. And now when I say completely gone, I lost basically pretty much 96% of my leg, and I'm looking down just at a stump. And my very first thought was, man, it looks just like it does in the movies. They have some amazing special effects.
Oh my God.
That was my first thought.
Could you feel anything?
Oh yeah, basically take your hand, put it on iron, hold it for a minute, and then multiply that by 1,000.
Yeah.
So people say,
so
"Oh,
the
I heard."
body's not in shock or anything.
Oh no, it's in shock. But people say, "Oh, I hear you don't feel it." No, you feel it, but it's almost like it just moves it out to the side, so it doesn't cripple you. Luckily, but my first thought was it looks just like it does in the movies. Second thought was, well, I need to crawl back to the vehicle so I don't get shot in the ass like Forrest Gump. And my third thought was
already thinking, how do I solve this problem?
Yeah, looking around, sectors of fire, all this stuff. Then my third thought is, why are you thinking about movies? You have no leg. And then everything was, somewhat of a blur.
Yeah.
The only thing that really saved me that day is the people I had with me. They're the ones that saved my life and helped out and took over what they needed to do. And like we're talking about the weakest link, you're only as good as the training and the people you have with you.
Yeah.
And they jumped in and did what they had to do. And luckily, it wasn't a huge, big ambush to where we were overwhelmed by numbers. So
insurgents or anything.
Yeah, so it ended up working out well for the most part. They did their jobs, got me back, and luckily I wasn't injured anywhere else than the leg. And when I say luckily, because if you hit
no heart,
no other organs, no compound injuries. So I got hit November 7th of 2004. I was in D.C. November 10th. Because what they do is they bring you to the closest MASH unit or little medevac, or not medevac, but the little care they have there. And as soon as you're stable enough to transfer and go to a bigger location, they move you. And so after they took care of the leg, make sure I wasn't bleeding anymore, I was stable. They flew me to Landstuhl, Germany. And then as soon as you're stable there, they fly you over the sea and over the pond and came to Walter Reed. You have some people that may stay in Landstuhl for like a year and a half because they have so many injuries. So again, that's why I say I was blessed. All I had was a leg. No other injuries anywhere else.
All I had was
that's why I got two, right?
A movie scene.
Yeah. Which was weird. I didn't hear any crescendo of music or anything. I was kind of pissed. I was like, hey, I didn't get my heads up. I didn't have like a narration of Anthony Hopkins or something saying what's going to happen. I was like, damn it. I feel like I, paid too much for this ticket. Yeah, I know. But so I went to Walter Reed, and I was there for 6 months. And then I think it was somewhere, we don't know the number, somewhere between 25 and 30 surgeries. One every other day for about a month and a half. And most of that was just debridement, trying to make sure any of the particles of dirt or whatnot. No shrapnel, but you also have dirt, all of the things that get in your tissue at that point. So it worked out.
Wow. Do you know how they stop the bleeding in a leg that's a stump like that? Like that's only about how long is it? 8, 9 inches?
About 6.
6 inches long?
Yeah, from the hip to the end of the femur. Well, it's.
Do they stop an artery? Are they able to?
Well, you just got to put direct pressure on it and clamp it down best you can.
Just
and
cauterizing it itself, basically.
Well, yeah, it'd be nice, but what really happens? I'm a scrawny dude, right? So I'm kind of wiry, and so what happens is muscles kind of pinch up and tense up. Now, saying where we were right outside the gate to Camp Victory, that was a very good. That was a boon. That was a plus because they're able to get me in pretty quick. If I was a couple miles, 20, 30 minutes away, and I honestly believe if I was in any other conflict, any other engagement, any other time in history, I would have died. I would have bled out. Yeah. But being that close and the response that our people did is what helped save my life.
Yeah.
And I believe I had a couple blood transfusions because you're going to have blood loss with the mortal.
Absolutely.
It's going to happen. But of course, I wasn't exactly there taking notes. I was
no, for sure not. I was just curious if you knew how they did it, because that just seems like lost cause a little bit. Like you kind of like think about there's no way they're going to stop that much blood flow that fast. Like,
Yeah, well,
'cause
I
you
mean,
have an
just,
artery
yeah.
right there. Your
The femoral artery,
yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, it just seems like there's no way they could do that, but they somehow do it, and
Well,
they got it done. But
like
you
I
know,
said,
that training of pressure,
That's what it is.
apply pressure. That's our basic training.
That's
that
it.
we
Because
get.
if you have a hole, that blood's squirting out, and you squeeze that hole, it's going to keep it from going out.
Yeah, for sure. And eventually that outer section dries better and gets itself kind of.
No, I don't think it did the whole coagulation and made a scab and stopped it. But again, going back to being that close, they were able to get me help I needed and get to the
Thank
medical
God.
professionals that could do it. Because
Thank
again, 10, 20 minutes farther away, I wouldn't be here.
So now you have a 6-inch stump,
Mm-hmm. I named it Bob.
Bob.
You throw me in the water, I just bob around, so it worked out.
So I guess if you kneel, never mind. That you said you wag it like a tail. You do. Let's talk about some of the stuff that you do in regards to other veterans and. I mean, actually, I don't want to jump too far ahead. Let's go back to because we're not in a hurry.
Just more editing.
Tell me, no, we don't edit. We go straight through. No, you can. All this is going to be in there. Everything we've said, except the little mess up on the camera thing.
Oh, Lord.
We'll fix that. But I want it all. I want the real deal, Holyfield.
I don't want to lose an ear too. Damn, why are you bringing up Holyfield?
Yeah, come on there, Mike Tyson. No, but we. How was? I mean, I'm sure was Walter Reed kind of like Forrest Gump. You think like the ice cream and the.
I was actually. So I got hit, and in the next day or two or three, like I said, hit November 7th and went to Walter Reed November 10th. I was out for most of it.
Yeah.
But I was still conscious. And the best way to explain that is I don't know what kind of state it was, mental state. But whenever you're getting up in the morning and your alarm's about to go off, or it did, and you hit the snooze, and you're still asleep, but like a third of your brain's awake, you're conscious of what's going on, and you're still thinking. That's how I was for that entire time. So I'm out, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm getting adjusted. I lost my leg. Okay. I'm right-handed. It was my left leg. That's cool. It wasn't my good leg anyway. It's not my dominant leg, not my balanced leg. I can still drive. Oh, damn it. I got to get rid of my stick shift because I love stick shift. Other than the whole running and walking, the two things I miss most are driving a stick shift and riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, damn it, I have to get rid of my Ducati. I had a nice Mustang. That was a stick shift. I'm a gearhead. So I'm a nerd.
No way.
I'm a gearhead. I play guitar. I'm an idiot, basically. So I was already adjusting to the things I have to get rid of and how to adjust my life. Now, I still say, going back to the incident, I'm glad it happened the way it happened.
Yeah.
Because imagine the shock or the trauma of you get hit, your leg's kind of jacked up, a little bloody, and you wake up and it's gone. I knew it was gone. So I was already adjusting. And I was getting ready for it, figuring out. I was like, okay, well, I can still do things, just be a little different. I'll get a prosthetic, be like Blade Runner, have the recurve. Now, this is obviously before Pistorius did his thing and then his other thing. But I was already adjusted. So when I woke up, it was no big deal. I didn't go through any depression. Now, that's based off of how I was raised, my support group, my family, who knows. One thing I've learned about how people handle things mentally, like we talked about the gunfight, who would freeze up, who wouldn't. That's random.
Yeah.
Random. I mean, it has no impact of that person, or it's no, one firefight, they could be G.I. Joe. The next one, they could be crying in a corner. There's no rhyme or reason on how to tell that. And that's where people talk about PTSD. Luckily, to me, I don't think I have it. My mom and my wife are like, yeah, he's got it. But not to the extent of like you see in the TV shows where you hear a loud sound, you jump behind a door or under a table. But I was part of an explosion, and I'm not affected as bad. You could have somebody that's a football field away see something happen, and it scrambles their brain.
Yeah.
But that's not any weakness on them. It's just how a mind works, and that's different for the individual, different scenarios, different engagements of that individual. And that's one thing I've really learned to know is there's no strength of mind. You need to be stronger-willed. It's not that simple. It's not that simple.
There's variables from all forms.
No, it is. But
you just never know where they're coming from or what perspective they were raised on, nurture versus nature, just all the different.
Who knows? They're trying to put a science to it, but you really can't. You just try to curb it the best way you can. But I was always raised with the mentality of if there's something you can do, something you can change it. If you can't, then you need to find another way to do it. If you can't do that, then you need to accept it and move on. I was never going to be a 6'9" basketball player. Not built that way. I'm scrawny and small. I'm more like Bruce Lee. So there are limitations there.
Yeah.
So I was already adjusted, and I get to Walter Reed, and my parents are there, my girlfriend, now wife, credit to her for sticking with my dumb ass even through all this, and my older brother. Now, my younger brother didn't come because he was still here at LSU, and he had finals.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, stay there, don't worry about it, and that was the call they made. And I had no say in it because I was out, but I remember going to Walter Reed, and I go to their ICU, their intensive care unit, because anytime you go to a new hospital, you automatically go into their ICU because they do their own evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm there, and they walk in, and my older brother goes, "What's up, Gimp?" And that was his first words to me. And that's just the mentality of, hey, you're all right, you're alive, suck it up and deal with it.
Bullets ain't flying, people ain't dying.
That's it, and it's just a whole nother perspective. And I think it was like my first full day. I was there a couple hours. I was drugged up. But I remember one of my first or second full days in the hospital room, I didn't have anything on me because they take everything off. Sanitation reasons, blah, 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 and all your stuff's still back with the unit. So you have amazing organizations, nonprofits, churches, school groups, whatever it is, they'll send you little care bags, whether it's in a book sack or this or that, and it may have calling cards, may have some boxers, some CDs, some tapes, some deck of cards, hats.
You're really dating yourself.
Yeah, I know.
You just said CDs.
Well, we didn't have CDs. We weren't doing. Yeah, no, we had MP3s. We had MP3s.
Barely.
Yeah, we had MP3s. But they were going through, and my mom was going through one of them. And I'm sitting in the bed, and she's going, "Oh, you got some boxers? Cool. You got a baseball hat. This is cool. You got some playing cards. You got 2 pair of socks. Wait, this is 4 for you now, isn't it?" I'm like, "Ma, come on, really?"
This is what?
4. She said, "You got 2 pair of socks," and then she stops. She says, "Oh, well, this is 4 pair for you now, isn't it?" And I was like, "Really?"
Oh, that's hilarious.
But it's.
She said, "I got you." It took me a second to get it. I'm sorry. And don't they make those left and rights like
socks? No, socks are socks.
Oh, I thought they had a left and a right sock, and then you.
What?
I don't know.
You've never worn socks in your life?
I guess maybe because I wear them so much, they eventually. No. I don't know. Making that up.
You have like an L and an R written on all your socks.
Mama, can you write L for me? So your mom cranks that joke out at you?
Oh yeah.
Now I guess this is 4 pair for you now.
Yeah, just lighten me up, but it's.
But that might lend to why you're so lighthearted about it.
Yeah, and that's what I say, family and support, and before I met them, I was already adjusting my mind.
Yeah.
But that's how we were raised to think about, hey, if you do something, the question, well, what did you think was going to happen?
Right.
Think it through.
Excuse me.
So
you, Walter Reed, how long were you there?
I was there, roughly about 6 months? I think November of 2004 to like May, June of 2005.
That's pretty fast. 6 months.
Yeah. Well, I still had another surgery I had to do, another surgery or two. But I had 4 hours left to graduate from LSU. I was in a mechanical engineering program. I had 4 hours left. And it was like some small classes.
Yeah, so you could do it while you were there?
No.
You need to go
there are
do it.
2 1-hour labs and 1 2-hour senior design.
Oh, yes.
I actually tried to say, hey, can you just give me the degree because these are kind of throwaway courses? Like, no, you need to complete them. So I actually left Walter Reed on crutches and said, hey, look, I can do those surgeries back at home. I'm going to finish college because I didn't want to sit out a whole another semester.
No.
And so I left a little earlier than they probably wanted me to. I mean, I was healthy, no other issues. It was just doing another surgery or 2 and then get that squared away. But I did that back
They were probably ready
home.
for you to go to.
Well, I guarantee.
All them jokes.
Yeah, I'm like, get this kid out of here. He's so depressing.
Yeah, right.
But
you might have been walking around there cheering everybody up.
well,
At
to be
least
fair,
hobbling around there.
well, going there when we were talking about being kind of semi-conscious, I was thinking I don't want to go to a military hospital because I'm thinking born on 4th of July, all those stereotypes of people sitting there sad or Lieutenant Dan's or pissed off at the world. I'm like, I don't want to be around that. I don't want that negative energy.
That's not what it was.
No. The people I met there, I would say 95% of any vet I've met has a similar mentality to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, behind closed doors, they may have their own times.
Yeah, sure.
Ups or downs or issues. Don't get me wrong. And so it may be just a brave funk. But, one thing I look at is we have a different perspective. If you're sitting at your office right now and saying, oh, I got to get these 2 reports in by Friday. I don't know if I can do that. Really? Really? That's hard. That's what you're going to worry about now. So it gives you a whole different perspective. And so at Walter Reed, you're sitting there and you're seeing, as bad as it sounds, human nature. You're looking at somebody's like, wow, they're jacked up a lot worse than me.
You're right.
This ain't bad. Like the guy in the room next to me lost
Gratitude.
both legs and an arm. Okay, I can suck it up. It's just one leg.
Yeah.
And you end up having those conversations with other vets in physical therapy. Hey, so if you could choose, would it be lose a hand, lose a foot, lose above knee or above elbow? We're kind of thinking, and kind of the consensus was I'd rather lose part of a leg or more of a leg, because losing two arms, you don't know how the feel of a full embraced hug is. Or riding, just all the different intricacies that come with your dexterity, playing a guitar, playing video games, cutting your food, doing buttons, all kinds of stuff. And
normal life.
Yeah, but you don't think about it. And so that's where you have different perspective. And one thing I talk about when I do some public speaking to corporations about trying to do a veteran initiative, I said, don't look at like you're taking a veteran, injured or not, and you're giving them a handout like an equal opportunity. Well, it's not fair to equal opportunity because it's not a handout either. But don't look at as veterans being a charity case and you're helping them out.
Right.
You look at all the leadership that these people, all these intangible skills, they may not have a college degree, they may not have this associate's, they may not even have a trade school, but you have people that have been able to thrive in a stressful environment and make decisions that affect other people. And how are you going to teach that? How are you going to train that and see what you're getting there? You can give somebody a mission and they're more of a, fire and forget. Right. I need you to get this done. They're like, all right, I'll make that happen. What tools do I have to do it? And they'll make it happen. So, a lot of things that especially wounded veterans, just to get up and get out the door in the morning, go through more hurdles and strive than people do all day.
Right.
And so there are a lot of intangible strengths and problem solving that come with learning and having to make it through those difficulties. Even if it's a person that wasn't injured, well, not necessarily a visible wound, but they have other demons they might be fighting to get out. It doesn't mean they're going to go crazy, but it means that they have to deal. Similar to most people, you have good days, you have bad days.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's one thing I always like to push out for veterans and people looking at getting veterans in the workforce or for different opportunities is look at what they have to offer. Don't look at on their resume at the bottom where it says veteran. That's not like saying, hey, I was an Eagle Scout, which I'm an Eagle Scout, love Eagle Scouts, but don't look at it as a byline.
Right.
You have to understand the gravitas and everything that comes with that and all those intangible skills that a lot of times trump every other damn thing on that resume.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I went to school for engineering. I've been a practicing engineer with the military and the government and with Boeing and all that for, 15 years now. I've never used any of my schooling.
But you've used a ton of your military.
I've learned and used all the intangibles that I've gotten from those. Now, I say I'm not using my schooling. There are things you learn, but I'm not sitting there doing a moment arm and calculating the stress and the strength, because that's not what I do for a living.
Yeah.
But going back to my original point is look at what they bring to the table and what they get out
all
of
the
that.
qualities, what you said it, just the attributes, the additional things that people learn in the moment, and how they react in a stressful environment like that is going to tell you how they're going to react in.
Exactly.
If they received an award or an accreditation or some type of accommodation for a certain battle situation, and then this soldier or this person is going to react in the right way.
There are some truths that are going to happen.
Exactly.
And that goes back to when you were talking about going to the hospital, what I was thinking and how people were there. Well, we have a whole different perspective.
Yeah.
Now, some people appreciate
Built
that
around
perspective.
Gratitude, too.
Yeah. And some people see that perspective. Other people don't, and they're wallowing in their own self-pity, but that's a very small part that I've met. So
well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, so Walter
Reed. It's too
Reed,
bad that people can't rally around those more.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a very small set of the population, like 1% of the population joined the military. Of the military, of that 1%, of the 1% of the military, from what I understand, are ones that get injured.
Yeah.
So I'm the 1% of the 1%. I would have been better at a riverboat with those odds,
Yeah.
But
tell me.
So going back to society, yeah, we love our vets, we love this, we do that, but it's such a small subset to expect 1% of the population and then 1% of that 1% to get all the worth and all the...
Yeah, but you remove that 1% of the population and you ain't got 99%
I'm not saying
of the other population.
I'm not saying it's not a big deal. I'm not saying it's not weighted.
And I think that's where the weight of it comes in.
Agreed.
Like, hey, folks, you may not realize, like, we're all touched by some
Yeah.
sort of trauma, tragedy situation, cancer, whatever. But it frustrates me to see all these fundraisers for all these different types of struggles for these nonprofits, and I don't see the support for the veterans.
And that's an issue. And all I'm saying is, I understand why people don't do it because it's such a small subset. But I believe it should be done a lot more because without that security, without that, you wouldn't have what you have. You wouldn't be going to your Starbucks.
You wouldn't be doing anything.
No.
You'd be praising a dictator right now.
Exactly. And people don't understand that. And, I don't have any ill will towards people. It's just human nature. And, if you're an idiot, you're an idiot. I don't suffer stupid people, and I happen to be a dumb one myself. So I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, you're an idiot. But I'm not here to convince people or make them feel otherwise, and never have been. But I understand why people think that way.
I don't. I can understand.
You can understand the logic. I don't say
logic
you. Yeah, you don't. I don't agree with it. Neither do you. But I understand the logic.
Yeah.
The logic.
Yeah, I don't. I definitely. And so I'll keep fighting to support more as much as we can. But you mentioned what you're doing now. So you got out. You got an engineering degree. You went to work for Boeing?
Yeah, I was with Boeing for about 6.5 years.
And you making 797s or 747s?
No, it was actually all on the...
Just kidding. I didn't know what Boeing
I was making
does.
little biplanes. No, I wasn't on the aircraft side. I was more on the military side and the support, and even worked a little bit on the SLS Ares rocket system.
Oh, wow.
So worked on that for a little bit. And
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I've had some cool jobs and left there, and now I actually work for the Army again. Now, you have the Army, which everybody thinks of as the green suiters, people in uniform. Well, I believe it's 25% of the Army is actually civilians.
That's right.
And so I'm actually what they call a DAC, a Department of the Army civilian. My employer is the Army. I get my check, Army. Who's your employer? Army. Yeah, Department of the Army. So it's kind of neat to be a warfighter, do that role, and now I'm able to support the warfighter. Yeah. Now, not to go into what I do, basically my job now is to make sure the warfighter get the tools they need to complete their job, to make sure they're getting good equipment and software for what they do.
That's amazing.
And so
neat. I didn't know I'd be so lucky to have like an actual somebody who's helping to create some of these things that are protecting countries right now.
It's cool stuff, and to me, it's just geeking
so you know
out.
About all the technology that we have as far as...
Not all. Like I said, I'm pretty dumb, but I understand parts of it.
You know
some.
A lot of the rockets and the bombs and things that we make as a country.
Yeah, it's cool to see some of the new stuff that might be coming down the road, whether it's with drones or lasers or just new capabilities. And it's neat to see some stuff.
I heard Joe Rogan talking to a guy about the nuclear conversations.
Oh, yeah.
And they were talking about the speed of sound.
The hypersonic
stuff. So, and we don't need to get into all that. I just wanted to talk. I mean, there's some pretty high speed technology.
Yeah, well, and that's the key is we have the hypersonics going through so fast. What's going faster than maybe the defense systems you have can catch up to it. It's in effect, hey, you're trying to shoot a bullet with a bullet. Well, if that bullet's going so fast you can't even see it, how are you going to hit it? Mm-hmm. It's already tough enough as is hitting a bullet with a bullet.
Right.
And so that's just that's human nature. That's evolution of warfare.
Yeah.
You want to stay on top. You can get a leg up, but
you only got one. You can't take it off.
That's it.
You can get a leg up. You just take it off and raise it.
That's what I say. I just take my foot off, put it in your ass, and go get another one out the closet. I got spares.
I love it. Well, dude, I'm blown away. The gratitude that came this morning, I was feeling like garbage, and then I realized I was going to be doing this with you this morning, and I thought gratitude kicked in pretty quick. And I'm pretty grateful for being here and having the opportunity to talk to you and share your story with people. I think it resonates more than you think. I think you do a bunch of community give back to the veterans. You do marathons. I don't know how the hell you run on.
I actually cheated. I did on hand bike.
Okay.
Now, what a hand bike is, it's 3 wheels. You're sitting on the ground and you're pedaling the bike with your arms.
Yeah, because that's cheating. I mean, seriously.
You're pedaling. It's the same gear ratio you do with your legs. So in the marathon, the wheelchair races you're used to seeing with the wheelchairs and the hand bikes are next to each other, and they give us a 10-minute head start.
And the wheelchairs beat y'all?
No, the runners beat all of us.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Doing all that and going up and down hills and, so.
You made it all the way through a marathon?
Oh yeah.
Like 31.1 or
No, it was like 26.
26.6. I'm sorry.
26.24. I don't know.
Yeah, 26.2. That's right.
Yeah. We did that. I ended up coming in first or second in my class. It was funny. Me and my
Did you
friend
have
Butter.
any arm strength left after that?
No, I was done. I didn't feel anything for like a week, but it's a good thing I stayed somewhat decent shape because I did on 3 weeks' notice. Friends like, hey,
I mean, the discipline it takes, the willingness, the fortitude to get through 26 miles with your arms.
it has nothing to do with that. It was all about I don't want to look like a punk. I ain't gonna stop, But we're sitting in the start line, and my friend Butter, he got injured 5 days.
Butter?
His last name's Butterworth. We call him
Okay.
Butter. So Butter and
love
Ed, they got hit 5 days after me in country. I met them at Walter Reed. RPG came into their Bradley fighting vehicle, blew up. Took Ed's left leg and Butter's right leg. And I think if I recall right, Ed, he was inside the vehicle and he crawled out with a weapon and he looked down and realized it was a leg. He's like, oh crap. And then he realized it was his leg. He's like, oh crap.
Oh my.
But anyway, so Ed and Butter and I went through Walter Reed with the rehab together. It's not drug rehab, which, hey, nothing wrong with that if you need it. But we went through Walter Reed together, and we stayed, pretty tight. Well, Butter ended up coming to my house a couple weeks ago, just happened to come through, and we got to talk about the marathon. And if I recall, we were sitting in the start line of the marathon. Real fitness gurus here. Butter had dip in his mouth, and I was smoking a cigar.
Nice.
And these ultra marathons, these ultra athletes, oh my God, what are y'all doing? Oh my goodness. I'm like, I suck it up. And then we went and did it and came in like first and second. I think Butter may have won. I can't remember. It was
y'all's
just
side.
The hand side. It was just a blur of misery.
Dude, that's killer.
It was fun.
I just think it's amazing that that's an opportunity for you to show people that you're still giving back. You're still, you're not. Life is not over even if you lose a leg or you lose.
No, not at all. And that's when I do work with other organizations. Wounded War Project's a big one I do. You know that as well. They helped out Walter Reed. So sorry for the free plug, but they
don't be. I love Wounded Warriors.
The key with them is, we're not here just to get you back to your lifestyle. We're here to get you back to your active lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And so through them, I've done multiple things. I learned how to snow ski, which, for South Louisiana, we don't see that much white stuff, right? And so
no, they see a lot of white stuff down here in South Louisiana. It's just not snow.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I'm just, the thing is, unfortunately, we do. We're having a really bad influx of drug issues down here with fentanyl and just killing people left and right. But I mean, that's another conversation to be had on the podcast.
That's all more about awareness as well and getting it out there.
Right. Well, it's just going back to the thing. Like you come out of just because you lose a leg, and we're going to keep going back to the community projects you're doing. But I just want to say this, because you get into a situation where you're faced with a circumstance that you see as bad. But dude, there's positive value that even came out of you losing a leg. Like, how do you even justify that? Let me explain how. We are sitting here today having this conversation.
Every day above ground's a good one.
That's it. And somebody out there needs to hear you tell them that.
But life is hard. Don't get me wrong. Things happen, but it's called life. Yeah. Suck it up and move on. There are avenues and way to get out. And if you're in that deep spiral now, this coming off as judge or I'm privileged or whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. It still holds true wherever you're at in your life.
Did you just say you're privileged?
I had a lot of great things. I had a lot of support. A lot of privileges people didn't. Yeah,
you put in the hard work.
I went to college.
Went to basic.
The government
put in the hard work.
The government paid for it.
But you went to basic. Yeah. You signed on the line. You lost. You served in the ultimate, most sacrificial way that you could serve.
But with that being said, I took those opportunities I was given and made the best of them. So wherever you are, as long as you keep trying, keep pushing forward, and keep moving forward, it's how you approach those. So you're going to have a bad day, Hey, if I stub my toe, you think I'm going to sit there and people twist their ankle, hurt their ankle, like, oh, I don't want to complain in front of you. If I stub my toe, that SOB is going to hurt, and I'm going to cuss too. It's still all relative.
Yeah, but you're not going to sit there for the next 3 hours and stare at it.
No. You're going to suck it up.
Wait till it goes numb. Then you're going to go rinse it, and then you're going to go wrap it, and you're going to keep moving forward.
But that's the same thing you would do. But the point is, it's perspective, and you're going to have bad days. You're going to have good days, work, family, whatnot, make a bad decision, get in a car wreck, or it's raining and you have a flat tire. It's called life.
Yeah.
It's called life.
Yeah, I want to teach my kids that kind of stuff.
Well,
today
you got a lot of people a lot worse off. I met, you meet people overseas in different countries and be blessed for where you have what you got. I'm going to complain
yeah.
about the world while I'm sitting here drinking Starbucks? Come on, get out of here.
Yeah, bro.
Get out of here.
I'm with you. Yeah, we so the ultimate goal is that we want our kids to, be good people and do good
And eclipse us and our accomplishments in life.
and not do the stupid idiot things that I did when I was a kid. But there was an example, and it just hit me. My daughter was faced with not making cheerleading this year, and she really is a talented cheerleader. So it was surprising, but there was a lot of talent, and there's a lot of girls that tried out, and so she's still on the younger side. So it was. I think she's still got time, and it's an opportunity for her to grow. But the real growth that happened was that she learned how to not always win, to not get a participation trophy.
Get that life lesson early.
That life lesson and her reaction is what really, really makes me proud. And it was, you know what? Pull my bootstraps up and roll on.
Yeah.
Like I didn't see her cry, which was incredible. And she may grieve on her own and I not see it, but it was good to see her stand up tall and move forward. And she said, I'm tired of, she didn't tell me, but she told my wife that she was tired of people telling her they were sorry. It was kind of pitiful at this point. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So
that's what you want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, all right, let's move forward. Let's roll.
It's like, I'm doing something right.
I mean, I didn't love cheerleading anyway, but hey, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see her take challenges, take on that challenge, give it all she's got. She went through extra training, extra this, extra that, and then not make it and still come out of with the mindset of, you know what, it was still worth all that extra training because I'm going to do something else in the future and have to put in that much hard work.
And that's the concern. They do all that hard work. They don't get like, well, I wasted my time. I'm never doing that again in anything.
Right.
That's what you don't want to see. You want them to realize, hey, it just didn't work out.
Exactly. And that's my point exactly, is that she took that moment, and last night she was like, nope, I'm all right. And then this morning she's like, nope, I'm all right. And she's
that's awesome.
Moving forward. She's going to have a great weekend. But
hopefully my kids will do that when they react. Because, we're about the same age. My oldest is 9, and then I got 5 and a 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they're not Irish twins, a 5-year-old, and May's about to turn 6, so they're not that close. But that early development age, and you're worried, hey, are we teaching the right life lessons? Are they learning different things contrary to that, or what we want at school where they spend most of their time?
They're also modeling our behavior.
Oh, I've heard them say a couple things. I say a couple times. I'm like, I'm so proud, but at the same time, I'm like, ooh, that's not good.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of things I'm not proud that I say in front of my kids, and luckily they don't say it because they know it's that bad. But no, it's I'm starting to feel more and more confident, especially as my child gets older. And the behavior that I take when I'm challenged, when I have a job or a task to do, and I may not achieve the outcome that I hope to achieve, but yet I got to keep rolling. I got to keep feeding my family. I got to keep doing the things I got to do to make sure that we're provided for in this organization or this whatever happens, whatever I'm doing in my circumstances. So my daughters and my son see that, and I know that has a lot to do with why they are who they are.
Yeah, and the times they're looking at you, you don't realize it, kind of.
No, 100%. But man, I'm so excited we got a chance to do it. I'm glad you came
awesome.
from Huntsville. Awesome. Thanks for coming from Alabama, and I'm sure your family is glad you came back home for a little while.
And we just don't, 3 small kids. Let's get in a vehicle with 3 small kids and drive 7.5 hours. It just doesn't happen as often as it should.
And there's so many people lying around waiting for your wife to take care of them that.
She's getting a couple coroners saying, "Hey, are you working?"
She's a coroner.
No, she's an autopsy technician.
Oh, okay.
So the coroners are the ones that are with the different parishes or counties, depending on where you're at. That when there's a death, they go to the scene, and the morticians are the ones afterwards that deal with the family. But my wife is more on the law enforcement side and the forensic science. It's not like CSI. It's not like all that garbage you see on TV where they're doing all this stuff in very dim lit rooms. That's just. It's a show, right?
Yeah, of course.
But
drama.
Yeah, but she does the autopsies with the doctors, and my wife, as well as I do, smarter than me.
She doesn't get grossed out either.
No. In fact, when we were dating, she made me help her with a couple.
Oh no.
And we're both from Baton Rouge, and it was all legal.
Was this before you blew the leg off?
Yeah, I was still in my bipedal days.
Blow the leg off.
I was still a normal person.
What'd you call it?
Bipedal.
Bipedal. That's oh man. Is that the actual clinical term?
Hell if I know.
You're pretty smart.
I just make it sound smart, but No, so it was funny, I ended up helping because it was her and a smaller petite female, and just need
Bigger
help
person,
moving.
yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't do anything. I just took notes, because I'm not trained. It wasn't my job, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah,
yeah.
blah. But she told me, Larry, she goes, yeah, if you wouldn't have handled it well, I would have dumped you because I couldn't respect you. I was like, what? And her logic was, well, I got to be able to come home and talk about work and not have somebody grossed out at home and be a little pansy about it. I'm like, wow, that's hardcore.
That would be me. Yeah, I couldn't handle. I have so weak of a stomach. I could handle the conversation with you somehow, but and when in the emergency moment, no problem.
but whenever it starts sinking in,
Yeah,
but,
I start feeling people's pain,
yeah.
and I can feel
Well,
it.
you
physically.
empathize with it. But I mean, she's just smart. She majored in microbiology, minored in chemistry and anthropology. I mean, just stupid, wicked smart.
She missed the boat on not marrying moron.
Oh, I just kept her drunk.
Ology.
I just kept her drunk.
Moronology. No, I'm just kidding.
I kept her drunk. She got pregnant, sobered up. She's like, who are you? I was like, here, drink more.
He's not admitting he took
No.
advantage of her while she was drunk.
No, I'm not.
Uh,
It's joking, people.
dude, you're amazing. I love you, brother.
Hey,
And,
you too.
And let's keep rolling. Let's. I'm excited that we got a chance to do this, and let's do onward and upward and do something in the future.
Hey, keep the awareness out there and keep helping vets. And thanks for all you do, with
Yeah.
podcasts, your endeavors, and your workshops and everything, just to get that acknowledgement out there and to get an avenue for veterans to find other things to do in a different release. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things, one of our sponsors is Olin Corporation, the chemical plant, I should say, industrial plant. That's a better word. But Olin Corporation is a big sponsor, and they are a major supporter of veterans. They also own Winchester, and so that makes sense that they would be veteran supporters. But thank you to Olin for their support, and also we are working. One of our new sponsors is an app called Melon Seed, and Melon Seed is a workforce placement app for veterans. So
that goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
exactly,
Yeah.
I was thinking about it when you said it. So we're going to add the logo for Melon Seed here in a minute, and you'll be able to use that app if you would like to look for a job in a market with certain who we have now for veteran serving organizations and whatever. But thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to everybody who has supported what we're doing. And thank you, Brother Jeff Adams.
That's
Y'all
it.
have a good one. All right. Take care.
Appreciate it. Thank you.